In no theater, a woman's transformation into an oni unfolds in 6 stages. Atsu, the protagonist of Ghost of Yōtei, swears revenge on 6 samurai after her family is murdered. That inner transformation is already etched into the mask she wears. So, where does Atsu's soul stand now? The first stage, Komote. This mask embodies the beauty of a young woman. Though seemingly expressionless, a subtle change in angle reveals sorrow or joy. At this stage, she is still a pure human being. The second stage, Deigan. Her eyes and teeth turn gold. She is beginning to transcend humanity. The third stage, Hashihime. Her hair becomes disheveled and red makeup accentuates her glowing golden eyes. The desire for revenge has begun to dominate her soul. The fourth stage, Namanari. Sharp fangs and horns begin to sprout. Even her physical form is ceasing to be human. The fifth stage, Hannya. This is the most famous Japanese mask in the world and the one the game's protagonist wears. The setting is the end of the Sengoku period, the peak of samurai warfare. A girl who survived these brutal battlefields to become a master of martial arts completes her path of revenge. This terrifying expression symbolizes that grim resolve. However, beyond that lies the final stage, the 6th stage, Shinja. One who reaches this stage is a true oni who has completely abandoned their humanity. Look closely at the difference. A snake-like tongue peeks out from the mouth. This comes from a Buddhist metaphor comparing those who hinder enlightenment to poisonous snakes. Atsu is standing at stage 5, on the very edge of that cliff. But what exactly is an oni? In modern pop culture, oni are often depicted as fantasy races, like elves or dwarves. But for historical samurai, they were a real threat to be exterminated. Let's uncover the true identity that samurai pointed their blades at. By the end of this video, Japanese entertainment will be much more interesting for you. The key to understanding the oni lies in a painting by Hokusai, drawn in his late 80s. Why did the legendary artist, with death imminent, dare to paint an oni? In the darkness, the monk Kukai confronts a monster. Beside him, a dog, an avatar of the Buddhist guardian deity Basara, protects him. The monk is chanting sutras, but this is not a physical battle. This grotesque giant oni represents a crisis that struck Japan in the 9th century, a pandemic. The etymology of oni comes from onu. Originally, it referred to things that cannot be seen. Later, the Chinese character for ghost was applied to it. At the time, epidemics like smallpox were an unexplained, invisible terror. People gave this invisible killer virus the form of an oni. They tried to rationalize the horror by defining it. An oni is eating humans, and that is why we get sick. In modern games and anime, oni are often depicted as macho giants with horns holding iron clubs. Dictionaries translate oni as demon, but there's a cultural gap in that word. The title of the anime Demon Slayer speaks to the difficulty of this translation. In Christian culture, a demon is a rebel against the absolute good of God. Pagan gods fell into this category and were often equated with the devil. From this perspective, the foreign oni fits this box. However, let's look at oni through the lens of Japanese religion. In Shinto, gods are anthropomorphized versions of nature. It developed from indigenous animism. Their power is like the weather, sometimes bringing blessings, sometimes bringing disasters. The oni symbolizing the epidemics in Hokusai's painting probably follows this interpretation. The Oni exists on an ambiguous boundary with God, whereas a demon is pure evil. The difference can be summarized in the word awe, a mixture of fear and respect. One of the oldest depictions of Oni is the Hyakki Yagyo scroll. As the title, The Night Parade of 100 Oni, suggests, it features a chaotic swarm of Oni. Oni are traditionally said to have 3 fingers. The reason? They lack charity and wisdom. The remaining 3 fingers represent greed, jealousy, and anger. Though in art, you will sometimes see 4 fingers or 2 toes. In this long scroll, monsters made of everyday objects like staffs, sandals, and umbrellas march alongside the Oni. It was believed that this parade frequently appeared in the streets of Kyoto, and anyone who witnessed it would fall ill. In fact, the famous Gion festival in Kyoto originally started as a ritual to appease the gods of epidemics and the vengeful spirits of those who died from disease. On the topic of epidemics, the Japanese government has officially embraced a mythical monster, Amabiya. According to legend, Amabiya can predict outbreaks. People hang its image in their homes, hoping it will keep illness away. This invisible fear eventually gained a physical body and became linked with the image of man-eating. For this reason, Oni is sometimes translated as ogre. Depictions of Oni eating humans date back to the Tales of Ise, written around the year 900. This was the form of the epidemic as imagined by people of that time. Toriyama Sekien, a pioneer of monster ukiyo-e art, depicted the terrifying form of an Oni. It seems to be eating a monkey, but if you look closely, what lies beside it may be a human skull. In the famous ghost story collection Ugetsu Monogatari, there is a tragedy about a monk who loses the young boy he loves, eats his corpse, and turns into an Oni. Then there is Kishimojin, famous as the goddess of safe childbirth. Originally, she was an Indian deity, Hariti, who ate human children to feed her own 500 children. Her Japanese name contains the character for Oni. Similarly, the Japanese translation for vampire also uses the character for Oni. These examples show how the image of the man-eating monster became central to the Oni identity. One of the most famous female Oni is Momiji. Her name means Japanese maple. The story takes place on Mount Togakushi. A samurai meets a beautiful woman while viewing autumn leaves. However, her true form as an Oni is revealed by her reflection in a sake cup. The trope of an Oni transforming into a beautiful woman is a standard in Japanese storytelling. Despite being a monster, the staging, involving location and mirrors, reflects the mythical image of Japan's supreme goddess, Amaterasu. There's also the legend of Sakano-ue no Tamura Maro, a warlord who made the title of shogun famous. In his tale, a woman named Suzuka Gozen appears. Depending on the version of the story, she is described as an Oni, a thief, the daughter of a demon king, the warlord's wife, or a goddess. This diversity shows just how blurred the line is between Oni and God. In traditional Shinto weddings, the bride wears a specific white headdress called a tsuno kakushi. Literally, this means horn hider. It became popular around the year 1900. One theory is that it hides the horns of jealousy to show determination to be a gentle wife. Another is that it is a magical charm to prevent the woman from turning into an Oni. Interestingly, while Oni can be male or female, there is no headdress for men. And in the world of no theater, male oni are typically not depicted with horns. In Buddhism, humans who committed evil deeds in life become oni after death. The famous Scroll of Hells is filled with them. Those with strong desires, like the monk who loved the boy mentioned earlier, become gaki, hungry ghosts in hell. What they desire burns away the moment they grasp it, and they are never satisfied. The wardens of hell are also oni. Some bear the heads of cows and horses, punished by the animals they once ruled. But oni as a whole appear in different colors. Each color reflects a human flaw. Blue for anger, red for greed, yellow for restlessness, white or green for sloth, and black for suspicion. If the protagonist of Ghost of Yōtei has chosen to live as an oni, she may also be fighting against these very karmic burdens. Oni began as invisible diseases. They devoured humans, and over time gained flesh and blood. No longer mere spirits, they became physical beings, targets for samurai to destroy. In the next episode, we follow the legend of Japan's Excalibur. Did a real katana truly slay a monster whispered about in history?
Help motivate us to make more videos by liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching!